Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a massive, absolute game changer of a structural update hitting the Bittensor network. Honestly, we haven't seen a shift this significant in recent memory. It is a fundamental upgrade that completely redefines accountability in decentralized AI. We're talking about making network ownership entirely measurable, totally visible, and most importantly, vastly harder to exploit.
Here's the roadmap for how we're breaking this down today. First, the $10 million dump. 2, understanding subnets. 3, the conviction upgrade. 4, how token vesting actually works. 5, impacts on network ownership. And finally, 6, a maturing AI ecosystem.
All right, part 1, the $10 million dump. Let's start with the catalyst for all of this, an absolutely incredible technical achievement that unfortunately got entirely overshadowed by a gaping flaw in the network. Picture this. Recently, a series of subnets operating under the Covenant umbrella managed to successfully coordinate a 72 billion parameter AI model in a completely decentralized way. This was a massive deal. People previously thought it was literally impossible to coordinate that much scattered computing power. It was so impressive that the CEOs of both Anthropic and NVIDIA were publicly geeking out over the accomplishment. But then, the founder abruptly exited and dumped $10 million worth of tokens on his stakeholders practically overnight. As you'd expect, people panicked. They thought the technology was totally dead. But here's the thing. The underlying tech didn't go anywhere. In fact, that same team is already building a much larger 80 billion parameter model right now. What this event actually highlighted was a critical system vulnerability. It was a harsh reminder of the absolute golden rule of crypto. Do not trust, verify. You just shouldn't have to blindly rely on a founder's goodwill. We desperately needed a way to move away from trust me and get to a place of prove it. Which brings us to part 2, understanding Bittensor subnets. Because to really grasp why a massive dump like that was even mathematically possible in the first place, we need a quick refresher on how Bittensor's 128 AI markets actually function. Every single subnet operates on this hypercapitalist loop, built on 3 main pillars. You've got your miners, who provide the raw, heavy-lifting AI work. Then you have your validators, who measure that work to make sure it's actually top tier. And finally, emissions, the rewards that get distributed to the top performers. It's an arena, and only the absolute best survive to earn those emissions. But this structure reveals the fatal risk. Subnet owners automatically receive 18% of all emissions generated by their market. Historically, if a subnet built up a ton of hype and attention, the owner could just press a giant metaphorical sell button. They could instantly extract their 18% and dump it, leaving the entire network completely vulnerable to short-term extractors whose hype outran their actual long-term dedication to the project. So let's look at the fix in part 3, the conviction upgrade explained. This is the exact solution Bittensor developed to patch this exploit once and for all. Enter conviction. This is a brilliant mechanism that forces subnet owners to mathematically prove their long-term alignment. Instead of having an instant exit wallet, 100% of that 18% share of rewards they earn is now automatically locked up on the blockchain, tied directly to their specific digital identity or hotkey. It takes invisible, behind-the-scenes support and turns it into a highly visible, uncheatable on-chain commitment. We are talking about a total paradigm shift here. Under the old system, simply buying subnet tokens, known as alpha, just showed you had some passing interest. But actually locking those tokens in the vault, that proves true long-term conviction. And the longer you leave them locked up, the more your conviction score accumulates. Moving right along to part 4, how token vesting works, because it is absolutely vital to understand exactly what happens now when a subnet owner decides they do, in fact, want to cash out under this new architecture. An owner simply cannot instantly dump their tokens on your head anymore. If they want to sell, they have to manually trigger an unlock. And the very second they press that button, their conviction score completely plummets. This is a huge deal because the person with the most conviction acts as the subnet king. If they unlock, they get instantly lose control of their entire operation, triggering a forced, delayed vesting period. Let's break down the math on this delay, because it's pretty wild. On day 0, the day they hit the button, they get absolutely nothing. They have to wait 21 agonizing days just for 50% of those tokens to become liquid and sellable. And it takes a full 3 months to get 95% of them. Why does this matter to us? Because it gives the market and everyday token holders plenty of time to see the exit coming from a mile away on the blockchain and react accordingly. And this friction works both ways. For an owner who is trying to accumulate conviction to gain or maintain control of a subnet, it operates on a 62-day half-life. That means it takes roughly a full year of locking tokens to earn their full weight and power. Think about that. It is a slow, grueling climb to power and a highly publicized, agonizingly slow descent to the exit.
Which brings us to part 5, impacts on network ownership. Because this mechanical shift doesn't just impact the founders who are building the tech, it fundamentally changes the economic realities for everyday stakers on the network too.
So alongside Conviction, a simultaneous hotfix was rolled out that removed what was called the initial owner alpha requirement. Basically, because new subnets now need less initial capital to launch, the emission split has shifted massively back toward the broader root network. Root network exposure jumped from that 50 to 70% range all the way up to 75 to 90%. Bottom line, if you were just a regular staker holding Tau tokens, you should actually expect slightly higher APYs as a direct result of this shift. Not bad, right?
Finally, part 6, a maturing AI ecosystem. Zooming out for a second, what are we really witnessing with all these changes? We are looking at the rapid maturation of decentralized AI infrastructure. They are directly borrowing proven accountability concepts from traditional finance and venture capital and bringing them right onto the blockchain. By implementing these VC-style vesting schedules and public commitment streams, Bittensor is actively replacing trust me with hard on-chain verification. When a massive institution with $1 billion in assets looks at this network, they don't want to rely on trusting a random anonymous subnet owner. They want an on-chain failsafe. This upgrade protects the long-term builders, makes being misaligned incredibly expensive, and really secures the foundation for a truly open AI market. But I do want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Conviction is not some magic morality machine. It doesn't magically make bad people good. It simply slows down value extraction and brings radical transparency to the table. But it really leaves us considering a vital question for the future of decentralized tech. If making bad behavior highly expensive and time-consuming is the absolute best we can do, is that truly enough to police a trillion-dollar AI market? Or does it just force bad actors to become more patient? Definitely something to chew on. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.